This is Faisal Khan for Lights and Association with Shamrock Boxing, and with me via Zoom, all the way from California. I'm delighted to be joined by Manny Robles. Manny, well, good morning from the UK to you. It's 3:30 in the morning here. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's what is it, 7:30 p.m. out here, so I'm not doing too bad. Sorry to get you up so early in the morning.
There's no need for you to apologize. Currently Ramadan, so most Muslims in the UK will be awake around about this time, so there's no need to apologize. Firstly, Manny, before we start talking about obviously the boxing world and currently what's going on in your career of training right now, we're under a current situation with the coronavirus pandemic. All we know what's going on in the US is what we see on the news. Just talk to us a bit about the current situation in the US. How are you guys finding it out there?
Well, it's pretty difficult, particularly here in California, New York. You know, what is it? The bigger cities, Chicago and so forth and so on, where the population is much greater than it may be in other states. So, obviously, with that said, there's a bigger chance of you getting the coronavirus, if you will. So we gotta, we just gotta stay home and do what the authorities ask us to do, which is to stay home and stay in quarantine and not expose ourselves to one another.
When I interview boxers during the last few weeks, or I've spoken to anyone in boxing, they kind of say it's like being in a training camp, except you're not at the gym. What would your advice be to keeping fighters motivated, keeping them in shape, and of course keeping them ready for when this does all end and we can get back to boxing?
But obviously, there's many different things you can actually do. Look, I've been trying to stay pretty busy myself. I'm reading a lot. I'm watching different fights, and I find myself watching YouTube videos on different fights, different boxers, my own personal boxers, and finding different ways to learn new strategies to be able to bring to the gym and work on different things and so forth and so on to stay busy. So the most important thing, I believe, is to keep your mind busy. Go for walks. Again, there's not a whole lot you can do, but whatever you can do, just the best thing to do is to be positive.
100%. Well said, Manny. Let's obviously talk about the boxing now. I think it's only fair to start off the boxing side of the interview to rolling back to last year, 2019, Madison Square Garden. That famous night, not just for yourself, for Andy, but obviously for all of the Mexican population, when Andy Ruiz became the first ever Mexican heavyweight champion of the world. As a trainer, where does that rank in terms of what you've achieved in your career?
It's definitely way up there. I mean, I have so much to be thankful for as far as boxing is concerned. I mean, it's given me so much. It's taken me all over the world. Had the opportunity to meet a lot of interesting people. I had several world champions in the past, so every one of those moments I cherish it. I cherish them. I mean, they're all special, but this definitely has to be. It might be at the top of my list because of the of Andy becoming the first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world in boxing history. That to me is pretty special.
But before the fight in Madison Square Garden, originally it was scheduled to be Jarrell Miller versus Anthony Joshua, but not getting to what happened with Jarrell Miller, so Andy Ruiz stepped in. When it was announced that Andy Ruiz will be the replacement of Jarrell Miller, how much did you and Andy and the rest of the team believe that Andy has a real shot of beating Anthony Joshua?
I always did. It's funny, but we had talked about the fight way before it was even made. There was a time in Andy's career where things weren't going too well. He was pretty much, broke. This is a hard sport, and a lot of fighters can, a lot of us can more or less know what I'm talking about, because we've been there, where there wasn't any money coming in. He wasn't making enough money to even pay his rent. He was about to get evicted from his apartment. Wasn't making ends meet. Wasn't able to provide for his family. He was having issues with his past promoter, and his career was at a standstill. Where luckily I was able to talk to him and to convince him to not lose hope, to not lose faith. Like many of us do in our regular everyday lives. When sometimes when things don't go our way, we feel like throwing in the towel. So in a lot of ways, boxing is a lot like life. You get knocked down, but you get back up. And what are you willing to do when you get knocked down? You got to get back up and try again, and try harder and work harder. So for him, he had hit a wall. Yes, where he was questioning if he should continue to box or not. And again, as I said, we sat down and we talked, and I said, look, kid, hang in there. Things are gonna change. Everything's gonna change for the better. Give it a little bit of time. I said, as a matter of fact, I guarantee you that a year from now, things will change. Just give it some time. I said, a year from now, I guarantee you'll be fighting for the world title. And guess what? I said, because I had envisioned this. I had actually dreamt about Andy Ruiz fighting Anthony Joshua. You're gonna be fighting Anthony Joshua, and guess what, bro? You're gonna beat him. I know you were. Just give it some time. I mean it, and luckily I said this before the fight. So a lot of I was interviewed, and I had talked about this fight, and I had talked about my vision, and before the fight, and and it's just, it happened. Everything started to change for the better. He got out of the contract with his old promoter. He signed a contract with Al Heyman. He got a fight with Alexander Dimitrenko, which was April 20th of 1919. And a week after that fight, we get the call, that we were next up to fight Anthony Joshua. And look, as you said, we all know what happened with Gerald Miller testing positive and so forth and so on. So the fight couldn't have happened at a better time for Andy, because as I mentioned, we had just came from the Dimitrenko fight, and then we get the opportunity to fight Joshua. We get him right back in the gym, and what was once a dream, what was once something I visioned, became a reality.
Before the fight, obviously with AJ and Ruiz, it was prior to the fight, he fought Carlos Takam, Alexander Povetkin, Joseph Parker. What faults did you see in Anthony Joshua leading up to the fight with Andy, the first fight, that made you believe Andy is more than capable of beating Anthony Joshua in this fight?
I got to say the right hand, the right cross. I believe that that's AJ's kryptonite. The right hand over the top, over the jab, and that's what worked for us, and that's what we worked on. That's actually the punch I actually dreamed of the knockout punch, which is actually, it was a little bit different, but it had a lot to do with the fight.
We'll talk a bit about the press conference the week leading up to the fight. What did you make of Anthony Joshua after the press conference during the face-off, sort of handing the belts to Andy Ruiz? Did you think that was mind games, or did you think that was just AJ being a true gentleman that he is?
He's a gentleman. I've always been an admirer of Anthony Joshua. You know, prior to Andy, we had faced I had faced Anthony Joshua with Dominic Brazil, so this was his first title defense with Dominic, and believe me, he's everything they say about him and more. He's a true gentleman. He's someone that carries himself very well inside and outside the ring. He does so much for the community, does so much for his people. I follow him, and I'm a big fan. Even obviously, business is business. You know, with Andy, I believe Andy could pull the upset. I believe Andy could beat him, but that doesn't take any more or any less from who Anthony Joshua is as a person. So I have a great admiration for him, towards him.
The fight itself, the first fight, the third round, it started off with AJ putting Andy down in the third round. And we all know Anthony Joshua has this ferocious talent of once he puts someone down, he can easily finish a fight off. He's got a great knockout record. You know, from a trainer's point of view, you were sat in the corner, you seen Andy went down. What was you thinking at the time?
Well, it's never over till it's over. You know, we see it time and time again. It's never over till it's over. All it takes is one punch. You know, it's just the same way Joshua put him on the canvas. It's the same way Andy was able to get back up and put Joshua on the canvas. Anything can happen, particularly in the heavyweight division. You know, luckily for both, you know, Andy was able to get back up because he was in great shape. Likewise, Joshua, he was in great shape and he was able to get back up, and the better man won that night.
It was a phenomenal fight. It was I was watching the fight. I believe it was 5:30 in the morning UK time, and I was like, that was something special. It was, you know, it was good. It was nice to witness as well. It was good to see history being made, especially in the heavyweight division, and the first ever Mexican heavyweight champion. I mean, when you talk about that fight, you just remember Andy's dominant hand speed, how quick he was. Every time AJ caught him, Andy was just coming back with this ferocious hand speed that he had throughout the fight. Did you always believe that the hand speed would be the main weapon that could defeat Andy Joshua?
Yeah, because I knew what I was working with. You know, everything I said prior to the fight, I believed in. I had faith in my fighter. You know, I knew exactly who and what Andy had to bring to the table. You know, Andy's a fighter. Looks can be deceiving, as you know. Everybody, you know, many people bullied and mocked Andy for his appearance. You know, he's not what you would find in a fighter. You know, especially when you're facing someone like Joshua. But he could fight. He has speed. He has the speed. He has the ability, the flexibility. He has the knowledge, and he's got a chin. He's got a heart. That's one thing you can't question about Andy. You know, and we saw when he hit the canvas and got back up after that ferocious knockdown, and you know, it only triggered him to want to come back and win the fight.
I have to say, you know, full admiration for getting off the canvas, especially against a fighter like AJ, and putting him down twice I believe it's twice in the third round, and then going on to do what he did. It was a tremendous performance. And then history was made. Andy became the first ever Mexican heavyweight champion of the world. After that, you know, Andy's sort of profile, you know, was risen massively. Was seen him with the president of Mexico, I believe. Do you think that could have, you know, the high life, the fame, you know, being the Mexican champion is what could have been the reason behind his performance in the second fight against AJ?
Yes, I believe so, but nothing. You know what? Having to visit the president, that's got nothing to do with his. You know, with you know, with the situation. I mean, if anything, that should be a motivation. You know, when you go visit, you know, you go visit the president. I mean, now you have a sense of responsibility towards an entire nation to want to come back and do it again, because now it isn't just about you. Now it's about, you know, people, not just from Mexico, I got to tell you, but for people, we picked up on fans from all over the world, the UK, all over Europe, Central America, South America, all over America, everywhere, all over the world. So because he made people believe, you know, this wasn't a coincidence. We didn't get lucky. You get lucky when you win the lottery. You know what I'm saying? We worked extremely hard for this. And it's just not winning. It's how you win. It's how we got it done. You know, unfortunately for the second fight, things changed. You know, the money, the fame, he didn't know how to handle it. And unfortunately, you know, I did the best I could to try to get him to see the bigger picture. And you know, we talked about living a legacy. And I talked to him about trying to leave a legacy and being a good role model for everybody, you know, for people all over the world, not just for Mexicans. Because this wasn't just about, you know, Mexicans. This is people believe, no matter, you know, the color of your skin or where you come from, or, you know, whether you're tall or short or fat or skinny, whatever the case may be, that anything in life is possible. That's what this was. But unfortunately, we look at the other side of the coin now, and now we see the type of things that can happen when you don't know how to handle the fame, the money, the stardom, and all of a sudden it takes a toll on you, and you allow for the situation to change you. You know, and that's sad. You know, never let a situation define who you are as a person. And unfortunately for Andy, it didn't work.
Would you say, like, after the first fight, the hunger sort of went away from Andy?
It did. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, what was it? I think it was Marvelous Marvin Hagler that once said that it's hard to get up in the morning to go run when you wake up under silk sheets. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how that goes. And it's hard. I guess it was hard for Andy. You know, all of a sudden you're a ghetto boy. Don't get me wrong. I'm a ghetto boy myself, but coming from nothing to something, and then all of a sudden not knowing how to handle again the fame. It's just it's sad. It's sad. And you know, it's great. It's wonderful what we were able to live and accomplish on June the 1st. But it's also sad the way we went out on that December 7th of 2019. And I wish things could have been different. I did the best I could as a coach, as a friend, to try to advise him and try to convince him and to try to see the bigger picture. But, you know, sometimes money's what motivates you. Or shoot, if money's what motivates you, then let's go work hard and make some more money if that's what motivates you. But I guess it was enough for him. And unfortunately, you know, things didn't work out our way.
After the first fight, there was a lot of rumors going around saying Anthony Joshua had a panic attack. He suffered a concussion during training for the fight. There was a lot of things being said, and there was obviously a lot of criticism to Robert McCracken. How much do you have to rate and respect the performance and the game plan for the second fight coming from Robert McCracken and AJ?
Oh man, you got to give him a lot of credit. And that's why I have so much respect and admiration towards AJ. You know what you said about Robert McCracken. A lot of people ask to be as a coach, but you know, Anthony Joshua put his foot down and said, "I'm not leaving my coach." You know, we did this together. We're going out together. We came in together. We're going out together. We win together. We lose together, and that shows a lot about his character. You know, shows a lot about his integrity and who he is as a person, as a human being. Obviously, Coach McCracken is a great guy. I was able to meet him myself personally, the first fight, second fight, and I have a lot of respect for him. So I met him in 2011, both Joshua and McCracken at the World Championships in Baku, Azerbaijan, when he won the silver medal. That's the first time I met Joshua, and he's the same guy, humble. He had just won a silver medal. Guy was walking around like it was just, like nothing. Simple, easygoing, humble, quiet, and like I said, I know I'm not wrong when I say this. He's quite a fellow, quite a character.
Of course, Andy regained the belts December 7th in Saudi Arabia, and after that, you and Andy parted ways. What was the main reason between you and Andy Ruiz parting ways?
I don't know. That's a good question. I have yet to receive a call from Andy. His father came to see me, visit me at the gym, to give me the news about them moving forward, then moving on. But never Andy. Andy Jr. never took the time to call me, text me, write me a letter, send me an email, nothing. DM me on social media, something. No, I'm still waiting. But it's okay. It's okay. I'm good. I'm in a good place. I know I did the best I could as a person, as an individual, as a coach. That's I'm at peace with myself. Yes, I'm okay with myself. Andy, on the other hand, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know why. Because obviously, as you well know, after the fight, during the press, just to take blame. And I gotta respect that from Andy, because he took the blame. He says, "Hey, listen, I failed. I failed the team. It's my fault. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and here are the consequences."
I mean, it does seem a bit weird that you weren't, it didn't come directly from Andy himself. And I always look at boxing as, it's not just an individual sport; it's a team sport, because someone in boxing once told me that teamwork makes the dream work, and
That's
you
right.
obviously had a massive part to play in Andy becoming a world champion. Um, your initial feelings after you were told that Andy was going his way and you should go your way?
No, that was fine. I mean, I wish him nothing but the best. I told her that I wish you guys nothing but the best. Wherever you go, whatever you do, look, you have a friend in me. God bless you guys. Talk to your son. Get him back on track. Make sure he does the right thing. And because I'm convinced that that it wasn't luck. What happened on June the 1st was not luck. We prepared ourselves that night. The better man won that night, which is Andy Ruiz, and I believe we were gonna do something special that night, and we did. Obviously, there's no secret to success. There's no magic potion. All it is hard work, man, dedication, and busting your ass, and knowing that if you believe in yourself, you're capable of doing just about anything.
We've obviously the last few weeks been in this lockdown. People want to know who's fighting who, when's these fights going to happen. We've heard many rumors about Andy Ruiz, a potential fight with Luis Ortiz. We've seen him and Dillian White had a bit of a scuffle over social media. You've seen what Andy's capable of. Going forward in his career, what do you think personally, what you know of Andy Ruiz and the type of person he is, what do you think Andy is capable of achieving?
Andy, the more time Andy spends away from the gym, I think it's not gonna help him. You know what I mean? This situation isn't helping anybody, of course, but it isn't. It isn't helping this situation isn't helping anyone, but it isn't helping Andy, that's for sure. He's got to get back in the gym. He's got to get back into training. He's got to stay fit. He's got to get ready if he really wants to have an opportunity to fight for the world title once again.
What would you say next is the perfect fight for Andy Ruiz?
Well, Dillian White, I mean, could have been a good fight, but it's easier said than done, knowing that both fighters are with different promoters. So that's another issue itself. And then obviously with Ortiz would have been more possible because they're both with the same promoter. Any of those guys would have been nice. I mean, I don't say it's any of those fights are easy fights. They're all difficult. They're all hard. But man, you're a prize fighter. So I mean, at this level, there ain't no such thing as easy.
The heavyweight landscape changed massively a couple of months ago in Las Vegas when Tyson Fury
Mhm.
beat Deontay Wilder. I mean, I want to obviously speak to you now about Fury and Wilder too. The build up to the fight, Tyson Fury's camp made it clear that they would come in to knock Deontay Wilder out. From what you seen in the first fight, did you think Tyson Fury was capable of knocking out Deontay Wilder in the second fight?
Honestly, I wasn't expecting that. I don't think I was in Vegas that night. I had the co-main event with Charles Martin fighting on that card, on the undercard, and so I was lucky to be there. To be honest with you, to be there live and to experience what went on that whole week. And I spoke to many people in Vegas, and I got to tell you, I don't think any of us believed or felt. Most of us felt that Tyson Fury would come out and knock out Wilder and beat him the way he did. Not just knock him out, but the way he beat him. I wasn't expecting that. I was asked what my thoughts were on the fight, and I said if Fury by decision or Wilder by knockout, but not the other way. And boy, was I wrong, and he proved us wrong. And I commend and I tip my head off to Tyson Fury for both fighters. It takes two to tango, but definitely what Tyson Fury did that night was very, very impressive.
One reason why I was very interested to get an interview with you is because I wanted to ask you from a trainer's point of view. If you look back at the first fight, it was clear that boxing-wise, Tyson Fury would always win in the fight between him and Deontay Wilder. But if it came to a scrap, an all-out brawl, you'd favour Deontay Wilder because of the right hand. What was your take on the game plan that they had set? Mark Breland and the rest of Deontay Wilder's corner. And as a trainer, would you have made adjustments to the second fight if you was in Deontay Wilder's corner?
Well, what unfortunately for Deontay Wilder, what you see is what you get. He's always had that style. They've never been able to change Wilder. He needs to teach it. He needs somebody to come in and to teach him, not to coach him. He needs a teacher. And time is running out for him, so he needs that desperately, especially if you're talking about a third fight. And Tyson Fury, on the other hand, he's a boxer, so boxers adapt. Especially boxers such as Tyson Fury, they adapt to the different styles. After that first fight, I can see where you go back to the drawing board and say, well, I made this mistake. I can't let this happen again. Let's work on a different strategy because he's a complete fighter. Again, on the other hand, Wilder isn't. Wilder, he's a one-punch knockout artist, where if he doesn't land that big right hand, then what's he got?
The reason why I ask you that question, Manny, and I understand you saying what you see with Wilder is what you get, but if you look at, in terms of adjusting, we saw Tyson Fury adjust in the second fight to show that side of him that we've not really seen much throughout his career. And of course, we saw Anthony Joshua, his boxing ability in the second fight versus Andy Ruiz. Do you not believe that the elite fighters are more than capable of having one way of fighting? The elite champions.
Absolutely, but that has a lot to do with the coaching as well. And with McCracken, he was able to erase that defeat, come back with a better game plan the second time around, and maybe this was a wake-up call for Anthony Joshua as well. Maybe he took the fight too lightly. I don't know what happened. Like you said, some people say he had a panic but yet to hear Anthony Joshua, come up with an excuse of why he lost to Eddie Ruiz. He took it like a man, and the rest of the team did as well, and they went back to the drawing board and came back with a better game plan the second time around, which is obviously, this is boxing. They decided to go out there and box and not to stand in front of Ruiz and exchange punches, and I can respect that. I like I said, it's just get it done, one way or another. Just get the W. Sometimes it don't gotta be pretty, but as long as you walk away with the W, that's all that matters.
Before this coronavirus thing escalated the way it has, we were scheduled for Wilder Fury 3, and of course, Joshua was to defend his belts against Kubrat Pulev. There's a lot of talk lately of Deontay Wilder and Kubrat Pulev perhaps stepping aside so we can get that undisputed clash between Joshua and Fury. Where they're both at right now in their career, from what you know of Anthony Joshua and of course what you've seen with Tyson Fury, who would you have as the favorite going into that fight?
That's a good question. See, okay, so we go back to Tyson Fury being able to adapt, right, to the second time around versus Joshua, but so did Joshua, and so did I'm sorry, Tyson Fury being able to adapt versus Wilder. On the other hand, Anthony Joshua did the same thing versus Andy. He was able to adapt. He was able to make changes for the better. So it's a question of who comes up with the better game plan. Joshua is a great fighter, strong, solid, can box inside, outside. He's got great ring generalship, so he's much quicker than Fury is, and he's a much better skilled fighter than Wilder is. But as we all know, the big question at hand here is the chin, But then again, look at Tyson Fury hit the deck a couple of times versus Wilder. So anything can happen. And then on the other hand, again, as I said, Tyson Fury, man, he's something else, man. He's so good for boxing. He's quite a character. I love watching him fight. He brings a lot to the table. People love him. And I got to tell you, I got to commend not only Joshua, of course, and Tyson Fury for the great fighters that they are and that they represent the UK, but the fans, man. The fans in the UK are the best. You guys are incredible. You guys support your fighters like I've never seen anybody support their fighters before in my life. Not even Mexican fans, I tell you. You guys sing and holler and Sweet Caroline and all that good stuff. It's just incredible, man. The atmosphere that you guys create, it's just like being at a football game,
It's I've always said it's a shame that Andy didn't get to come to the UK for the rematch, but because like you just said, the us UK fans, we love our boxing, but of course business first before anything else, and I can understand every reason why the fight was taken to Saudi Arabia. Canelo Alvarez, another fellow Mexican, probably the pound for pound king right now. Just keeps on getting better and better. Another reason why I wanted to was really why I tried getting an interview as quick as possible is because I want to get your thoughts on Canelo. What more do you think he's capable of achieving, number one? And number two, if there's any fighter in the world right now you reckon is capable of beating Canelo, who do you think it would be?
I think Billy Joe Saunders would definitely be a great fight between him and Canelo. I think there's the Jamel Charlo, 160. They easily move up to 168 and face Canelo. Benavidez at 168 can definitely. There's a lot of fighters out there that could definitely give him a run for his money. But I also believe I'm a fan of Canelo. Don't get me wrong. I have a great deal of respect for him as a boxer. He's just great. Everything that he's been able to do. He's at the top. He's at the elite level in boxing. But I also believe that Canelo's in a situation right now that is very similar to where Mayweather was at one time. I mean, if you remember when there were certain fighters that were out there during his time that were in their prime, that he opted not to fight, and because he's a cash cow, and that's what Canelo is to boxing today. He decides who he fights and where and what, and it's and that's just how it is. I mean, like I said, I would love to see him fight Benavidez. I would love there's a couple of light heavyweight world champions right now as we speak that are some killers, man. And Bivol for one, and then the other
Beterbiev.
cat, yes, Beterbiev. There you go. I mean, these are killers, man. And why not them? It's all about timing in boxing. When he fought, I don't take anything away from what he did that night when he beat oh Jesus, help me,
Kovalev.
Kovalev, thank you, the Crusher. But when he beat the Crusher, but he just caught him at the right time, man. He fought him at the right time. Fought him a guy that was getting old, getting slow, wasn't looking too good, and had not looked too good in his last couple outings, and it just found the right time. He said, "This is the guy I want," and that's what he got. The Kovalev showed up. The Crusher stayed home.
So, I like the way you put that there, Manny. Golovkin Canelo 3 is a fight that is likely to happen. Do you believe that the two decisions in the first two fights were correct? And what chance do you give of Golovkin beating Canelo in a third fight?
No, definitely Canelo beating Triple G this third time around, because Triple G's not getting any younger. He's just not. When he again fought him at the right time, and he got the first time, I believe it was they called it a draw, but I could have easily had the fight going either way. I mean, if it would have been Triple G, then that would have been fine, or the other way around with Canelo. The second time around, it was close fight. Maybe a draw would have been nice, but definitely if there's a third fight, I as you said earlier, as you mentioned, Canelo's getting better. He's peaking. He's he's like fine wine. You know what I mean? He's just like right at the. He's in a good place right now, and Triple G is getting older. And he hasn't been looking too hot in his last couple of outings as well. So if there's a third fight, I can see Canelo possibly beating him by knockout.
It's interesting because, like you mentioned, there's Benavidez, there's Beterbiev, Bivol, Billy Joe
Right.
Saunders, and obviously that third fight with Golovkin. There's big fights out there for Canelo, and
Absolutely.
there's fighters who have the tools to perhaps give Canelo a good fight and a close fight, and maybe even beat him. But one thing that when I speak to a lot of people, especially this sport of boxing, and they say that to beat Canelo on a points decision on a Golden Boy promotion show in somewhere like Las Vegas, you have to win 10 clear rounds at least.
Right.
Would you agree with those comments?
Yeah. Because he's a cash cow. Just like look at again, we mentioned Mayweather. There's some close fights that Canelo, said that Mayweather, was able to win, but they could have gone either way, or or maybe possibly gone the other way. Jose Luis Castillo for one, the first time they fought, or even the Maidana, the first fight. There's a couple of fights out there that definitely. Oscar de la Hoya, when he fought Oscar, that fight could have won either way. But obviously, when you're the cash cow, then you have that in your favor. You know what I mean? You have control, and that's what Canelo has today. He's got that. So if you want to beat Canelo, you gotta beat the shit out of him, plain and simple, or knock him out. You're not gonna get the decision if it's a close fight. You're not gonna get it, and I can respect that because he's paid his dues. And now it's up to somebody else to come up and to prove the world wrong, prove him wrong, and beat him convincingly. And then we'll see the new king get crowned. But as for right now, it's about Canelo, man.
Another question I wanted to ask you about is a fellow UK fighter who made a big name for himself in America over the last few years during his career, Amir Khan. Um,
Hmm.
there's a lot of rumors going around that Amir Khan, one of his options is to call it a day in boxing. Firstly, what was your thoughts on his career so far? And secondly, what would you think is the
Look,
best answer for Amir Khan?
I'm a fan of boxing, and I admire and I have such a great deal of respect for so many, for all fighters. You know, Amir Khan is, you know, silver medalist, Olympian. No one will ever be able to take that away from him. You know, what he's been able to accomplish as a fighter, former world champion, great fights. He's never been in a bad fight. Even with him being on the short end of the stick and not getting the W, he's always coming in 100%. And he's always given great fights. You know, and that, to me, my friend, is the epitome of a great fighter. You know, when he fought Canelo, he was beating Canelo.
Yes, he
You know,
was.
he was beating Canelo, but he lost to the bigger man. He lost to the bigger, stronger man. And we all know, it's no secret. We all know that Amir Khan does not have a great chin, but he's got a huge heart.
Mhm.
You know, and if it was up to him, after he got knocked down from with a Canelo fight. I mean, if he could, I guarantee you, he would have gotten back up to continue to fight. But unfortunately, it's boxing. You know, you put your life on the line. How could you not have respect for a man like that walks in, that gets in the ring and puts his life on the line? You know, that gives his life to the sport, man. I mean, I have nothing but admiration for Amir Khan particularly, and for all boxers.
It's always good to get people's thoughts on boxing, especially from a trainer who's achieved so much. You know, being part of the team that was the first ever Mexican heavyweight champion of the world. So, which is why I have to ask you your opinion on something that we covered in one of our podcasts a couple of weeks ago: the 147 welterweight division. There's three world champions. Who would you say is the king of the 147 welterweight division
Uh,
right now?
Terence Crawford, definitely pound for pound, the best welterweight fighter in the world, and definitely on the top five list on pound for uh, you know pound for pound. Uh, uh, Terence Crawford, he's an incredible fighter. He can switch to the softball stance like no one else could, and use both the conventional and softball, and the way he gets it done. His ring IQ is superb. He's just, man, he's a complete package. And mind you, what was it, 135, 140, now 147. It's been impressive what he's been able to do in boxing. I think he definitely pound for pound one of the greatest, one of the best right now as we speak.
I want to obviously talk to you a bit about your son, Manny Robles Jr. I'm going to go by. Um, put up a very good performance against Kanju, if that's the way you
Right.
pronounce it. How happy are you with how his career has progressed, and in terms of experience, that world title fight with Kanju? What do you think that's going to do for him going forward in the rest of his career?
Great, man. I was very happy with my son and his performance. I'm extremely proud of him for everything that he's been able to, do in boxing. Like I said, I have respect for all boxers because this is a very hard sport. It's very demanding, and not only the fact that you have to make weight every time you fight is you gotta that's another battle with the scale, as you know. But yeah, I mean, he's in a good place. He's made me a grandfather now. I'm a grandpa. I have
Congratulations.
my lovely granddaughter, and he's good. I don't know what he's going to want to do with his career now. I know he's got. See, my son has a problem. He's got a what do you call it? Oh man, he gets vertigo.
Okay.
He gets vertigo, and during sparring, and sometimes he'll get it during fights, and that definitely, my friend, has something. There's something that you really have to think about if you're going to want to box, because that's a very delicate matter. I mean, you getting vertigo in during a fight or during a sparring session where easily get hurt, and somebody lands a big punch on you, and it could end your career, it could end your life. So that's something he really definitely has to think about if he wants to continue to pursue his career as a boxer. But if not, believe me, I'm okay, man. I'm proud of my son. I love my son, and his health is the most important thing. And that goes for all boxers out there. That all the boxers out there that sometimes, I mean, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's life after boxing.
Yes.
And sometimes you just have to ask yourself, like you mentioned, Amir Khan. I mean, if he chose to not fight any longer, again, everything that he's done, that he's been able to accomplish in his wonderful sport, the wonderful sport of boxing, you got to tip your head up to him and thank him for all the great fights that he's been able to give us.
Well, firstly, obviously, congratulations on the new addition to the family, and in terms of your son, we do hope he can salvage some sort of career in boxing, and of course, if not, your health always comes first. Before we obviously end the interview, we have to ask you one quick fire question. It's not going to be an easy one. For Manny Robles, give us your 5 best rounds of boxing of all time. So if you had to pick, 5 rounds of boxing that you would watch on YouTube right now. You have to tell us your best 5 rounds of boxing of all time. In no particular order, of course. I don't want to put too much pressure on you.
Okay. That's easy. Jose Luis Castillo, I'm sorry, and Diego Chico Corrales.
Yes, great.
And then Julio Cesar Chavez, Malbec Taylor. And then Salvador Sanchez, Wilfredo Gomez. Yes. That's 3, right?
That's 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you another one. Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman.
The first round.
Yeah. Well, they fought. Well, this is the Keith Thurman. The only fight. The only fight they've had.
Yes.
Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao. This just happened. And one more fight. One more great fight, man. Who would it be? I gave you 4 very good fights. Okay, Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua.
I knew you was going to say that. Great list. Do you know what? Great fights you just mentioned as well. Personally, me, I would have put Ward Gatti number 1 in there. I would have probably put all 3 of them in there.
Oh, man. See, I mean, I can go on. I give you 5. I give you another 5.
I would love
that. How can we forget that? How can I forget that, man? Great fights, Gatti and Ward.
Yes, 100%. Great trilogy. Fights you can just never get bored of watching.
Absolutely.
But no, I would love for you to go on. But obviously, Manny, I can't take up too much of your time. I just want to let you know we really appreciate you coming on here. We hope you're staying safe. We hope the family's staying safe. And we hope, obviously, this is the first of many interviews, Manny.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure. And I'll get to see you again, hopefully sometime soon.
No problem. Manny Robles, pleasure and a privilege. And thank you very much for talking to Lights Out.
Thank you. Cheers.